This is the OTB Television Network.
Hello and welcome to this special international edition of Horses and Courses. I'm Jean Wood. We have a lot of great international racing to bring to you. They just wrapped up the Royal Ascot meet, which is always one of the biggest and most important meetings in Europe, but we're going to start things out in Asia. We are going to head to Hong Kong, and at the end of May, we'll go back to the Champion and Chater Cup, $1 million mile-and-a-half event sponsored by Standard Charter. Let's head to Hong Kong, Sha Tin Racecourse, and the Champion and Chater Stakes.
In driving rain, 1,300 metres out, Super Pistachio by 3/4 to Mr. Medici. Packing winner third on the inside of Viva Pataka. 2 after Super Saturn. Then King Dancer and 2.5 further back to Fat Choichiban at the tail of the field. They're working down the back, and Super Pistachio, who was just touched off in this year's Derby, a noted wet track performer abroad, and Super Pistachio makes the running from Mr. Medici in second. Backing winner still third from Viva Pataka. King Dance on the rails from Super Saturn, and 2 lengths last of all is Fat Choichiban as they work out of the back section of the course now. And Super Pistachio in front. There's been no change to the order. Super Pistachio by 3/4 to Mr. Medici. Packing winners had a soft run all of the way. Then Viva Pataka gunning for 4 wins in the Champions and Chater Cup. White gets going now on Super Saturn. King Dance at the inside of him, and Fat Choichiban's not going with him as they race up to the home turn now. Beeman makes his move on Viva Pataka. Super Pistachio turns the corner in front of Mr. Medici. Viva Pataka's cruising up into third. From packing winner, King Dancer runs on, and Super Saturn can't get through the conditions. It's Mr. Medici racing to the front with Viva Pataka going after him the outside. Back on the far side, Super Pistachio. Mr. Medici's revelling in the conditions. The old champ Viva Pataka can't get him. Super Pistachio keeps boxing on, but it's Gerard Mosse and Mr. Medici back to great form. Mr. Medici wins the Champions and Chater.
Mr. Medici, this is a horse that had been running very well against some pretty nice horses and finally makes a bit of a breakthrough as he scores over Super Pistachio, a horse that actually raced in the United States under the name Westphalia early in his career. Viva Pataka, one of the old favorites from the Hong Kong circuit, completes the order of the top 3. The winner, Mr. Medici, is an Irish-bred son of Medician from Way for Life by Platini, owned by Alan Shelop-Tak and trained by Peter Ho, ridden to victory by Gerard Moss. Mr. Medici covers the about distance of 1.5 miles on the Sha Tin turf in 2:38.49. We'll stay in Asia. We will head to Japan next. Early June, the 6th of June, in fact, the date of the Group 1 Yasuda Kinen, a Group 1 mile with a $2.3 million purse.
Loaded up, stand by. And they're racing. The gate was Monica Shank commenced slowly. Asian forward goes forward with Captain Toule. Along the inside, Fellowship commenced well with Minor Falque. Triumph marches up there along the fence, reached the crown not too far away. Also up there is Sight Winner, not too far away, just tucked in behind them. A gap further back on the inside to one losing a bit of ground in Smile Jack. Then comes Sight Winner. On its outside, moving on is Monica Shank. Then a gap further back to Showa Modern. Well back running about midfield, Glorious Snow. Outside is Live Concert. Then came San Carlo. Well back is Super Hornet with Absolute. Faridat is well back. On its outside is Monica Shank. They get past the 800-metre mark, and leading the way now is Asian forward from Minor Falque. They're out by a length and a half from Triumph March. Running on the fence, Captain Tooley, then 2 lengths further back on the inside, reached the crown. Beauty Flash not too far away with Fellowship, Sight Winner just tucked in behind them with Showa Modern. 450 metres to run. Asian forward, Minor Falk starting to shorten stride. Triumph March finds the lead. Captain Tooley down the middle. Showa Modern runs on, and Super Hornet the widest of runner with Faridat. They get down with Showa Modern striking. It could be Super Hornet. Just tucked in behind the one in the orange cap is Monica Phoenix, and even out wide is Super Hornet. Super Hornet and Showa Modern along the inside. Smile Jack. It's Showa Modern. Showa Modern from Super Hornet and Smile Jack. The 12-to-1 shot, the first medal at Group 1 races, has scored.
Showa Modern picking up the win in very impressive fashion. A nice effort by this horse, who I thought looked like he might be a little bit of a price horse in this spot, but he ends up getting the victory over Super Hornet with Smile Jack back in the 3rd spot, and a very close finish in a very quick mile for Showa Modern, picking up the final leg of the Asian Mile Challenge under Hiroto Goto, picking up the win in a quick 131.70. We'll wrap up with Asian racing there, and we will head now to Great Britain. We will start out with their 3-year-old, with some of their big 3-year-old races in just a moment. But in the meantime, we've got older horses in the Investec Coronation Cup, 1.5 miles for the older horses, run during the big meet at Epsom, of course, featuring the Oaks and the Derby. Let's head back to the 4th of June and the Coronation Cup.
So this trio with a healthy advantage as they prepare to begin the descent. Dixie Music leading from Fame and Glory and Jukebox Jury. They're about 5 lengths clear from Sariska, who, anxious not to let the front 3 get the advantage, has moved through into 4th place and is beginning to close down the front trio. Then comes Yumzane and Cavalryman ahead of High Heeled. Southeast has given way tamely, and Bashkirov has never been up to this. So as they begin the turn in, it's Dixie Music with Fame and Glory poised. Sariska has moved on to Fame and Glory's heels. Then Jukebox Jury, Cavalryman and Yumzane as all of the big guns. The fingers are on the triggers, and the first one to go out to the lead is Fame and Glory, leading from Sariska. The outside Yumzane, Cavalryman is trying to thread a passage. Dixie Music towards the inner, then Jukebox Jury, who's on the retreat, and High Heeled, who's beginning to make ground. Fame and Glory, Sariska poised to challenge on the outside. In 3rd is Yumzane. High Heeled stays on. Fame and Glory pressed by Sariska. Then Yumzane in 3rd with 2 lengths back to High Heeled. Fame and Glory, Sariska, she cannot get by at the moment. Fame and Glory, Cavalryman is beginning to stay on towards the inside. Fame and Glory seems to have seen off Sariska. Cavalryman's path blocked on the inside, and Fame and Glory, driven out towards the line, will win the Investec Coronation Cup. For Johnny Murtagh and Aidan O'Brien, Sariska 2nd, High Heeled 3rd, Yumzane 4th, Cavalryman short of room in 5th place.
Fame and Glory, one of the better 3-year-olds in Europe last year. He won the Irish Derby early in the year last season, and here returns with a very nice effort for Aidan O'Brien from the Coolmore operation. Aidan O'Brien picking up his 4th victory in this very important Group 1 event as he scores over a very nice pair of fillies, Sariska and High Heeled, who had both run very well in classic competition last season. They ran well to finish a solid 2nd and 3rd. Little disappointing in here was Yumzane, a horse that we have seen maybe a little bit of a bridesmaid. He does finish 2nd and 3rd an awful lot relative to his wins, but Yumzane a little disappointing as he had run some pretty nice races against good company, perhaps a little over the top now at the age of 7. The winner, Fame and Glory, putting himself right into the middle of the picture for older horses in Europe, is a 4-year-old son of Montjeu from Griata by Shirley Heights. He was bred in Great Britain by Ptarmigan Bloodstock and Kristen Rousing. Owned by Derek Smith, Susan Magner, and Michael Tabor, and trained by Aidan O'Brien. Ridden to victory by Johnny Murtagh. Fame and Glory covers the about distance of 1.5 miles in 2:33.42. 1.5 mile classics up next for the 3-year-olds, beginning with June 4th's running of the Investec Oaks for 3-year-old fillies.
And as they're all loaded for the Oaks, the big race will be called by Richard Hoyles.
And they're off and racing then for the Investec Oaks. And through the early strides, Aviate jumps out alertly from stall number 1. and along with Merida Medici is racing in a handy position. Champagne Lifestyle and Saja are side by side. Actorina presses on as they make their way through the first furlong, and it's now Actorina who's moving through to lead with a flick of the tail from Merida Medici, who races in second place. Gertrude Bell is improving on the outside of Bikini Babe. Saja drops back into about 5th or 6th place on the outside of Champagne Lifestyle. A Ramouche Tracks Aviate with awe-inspiring in midfield in company with Timepiece at this stage. Kaylee House is under restraint towards the rear of the field in the very early strides, and also towards the back Remember When, who's crossed to the fence with Snow Fairy as another towards the rear of the field. So beginning to settle down, climbing all the time, and it's Actorina who leads from Merida Medici, and Gertrude Bell up on the outside racing in third. Champagne Lifestyle with Aviate 4th and 5th ahead of Bikini Babe and Ramouche in midfield. Saja's dropped in to mid-division on the outside of the white face of Timepiece, then towards the inside Awe-Inspiring. Miesner comes next as they prepare to turn downhill and make the descent. Cabaret is towards the rear of the field. Making a couple of places is Remember When. Kaylee House on the outside of Snow Fairy are the last pair. So Actorina begins the turn now downhill, past halfway, leading from Merida Medici and Gertrude Bell. 3 wide for Champagne Lifestyle of Aviate and Bikini Babe. Ramouche also on the fence on the inside of Timepiece and Saja in midfield. Then Miesner from behind these Remember When. Kaylee House is towards the outside with Snow Fairy. Cabaret is pushed along, and Awe-Inspiring another to be in trouble. There's a bit short of room there up the inside. Remember When as Actorina begins to try and wind it up on straightening. It's Actorina who leads for Ireland. Merida Medici and Gertrude Bell the closest pursuers. Champagne Lifestyle in 4th on the outside of Aviate. Ramouche towards the inside. Changing course Bikini Babe. Miesner tries to stay on with Cabaret. Still Actorina leads Merida Medici, and on the outside Gertrude Bell. Aviate pulled out into 4th place. Miesner running a mighty race. Ramouche in traffic. Snow Fairy in traffic as Remember When pulls out with a determined challenge. On the fence Actorina, Remember When and Miesner running a mighty race. Then Gertrude Bell and Snow Fairy thundering home from the back of the field. Inside the final 150. Snow Fairy in red and yellow from Miesner and Remember When. And Snow Fairy colliding with the inside running rail on a couple of occasions, but doing enough and supplemented will gain the biggest payday by winning the Oaks.
Snow Fairy getting the victory here in a hard-fought effort. She had to go through horses, between horses, it seemed almost over horses, switching direction a couple of times through the final furlong and getting the victory by a neck over Miesner with Remember When back in the 3rd spot. The winner, Snow Fairy, was supplemented to this race after having won a very sharp effort at Goodwood only 16 days prior. That didn't give her a lot of turnaround time, but it was certainly enough for Ed Dunlop to get her ready. Snow Fairy is a 3-year-old daughter of Intikhab from Woodland Dream by Charnwood Forest. She was bred in Ireland by Christina Patino, owned by the breeder, trained by Ed Dunlop, and ridden to victory by Ryan Moore. Snow Fairy covers the about distance of 1.5 miles on the Epsom course in 2:35.77. On the day they run the Belmont here in the United States, they run the Investec Derby, a Group 1. Of course, the Derby has been around a lot longer than our American Derby. Nonetheless, our race modeled somewhat on it. Theirs goes at 1.5 miles on the Epsom course. The purse this year, $1.8 million. Let's head back to Epsom and the running of the Derby Stakes.
Acquired as Scott, we're very close to a start.
And it's post time. Let's see if Jan Vermeer can get it for the boys at Ballydoyle.
They're off and running now. Let's get over to commentary.
2010, first to break the line is Bullet Train, as they all look across to see where the pace is going to come from at first sight, who many thought would set the pace. Is only doing so at an even gallop at the moment alongside Asmeal. Ted Spread is pretty handy on the outside of Midas Touch with Bullet Train's pink cap. Alzir racing in 6th place towards the inside, with Workforce settled in 7th just ahead of Jan Vermeer, who's on the outside of Coordinated Cut. Rewilding, Hot Prospect and Buzzword is held up at the rear of the field as they make this steady climb, being taken along by At First Sight, who's now moved through to lead Asmiel, who is now Keen Under Restraint in second place, with disputing that position Bullet Train, and out wider Midas Touch, and also out wider is Ted Spread, who's posted a little deep at the moment. Alzir in the red cap settles midfield, with Jan Vermeer moving forward on the outside of Workforce. Jan Vermeer now moving through into 6th or 7th, with Rewilding also encouraged to take slightly closer order. Hot Prospect, coordinated cut towards the rear of the field with Buzzword, so the pace is rather better now as At First Sight reaches the highest point of the course and prepares to begin the descent. At First Sight with Bullet Train well positioned in second place. In third is Asmiel ahead of Midas Touch. Ted Spread already being ridden along on the outer of Alzir. Jan Vermeer descends in about 7th place on the outside of Workforce. Rewilding is also in that little cluster as well, as At First Sight, kicking on down the hill, begins to inject some pace and has gone 5 to 6 lengths clear. Rewilding still towards the back with Hot Prospect, Buzzword and Coordinated Cut. So turning back towards home, At First Sight leads by 5 lengths. Bullet Train is ridden in second. Midas Touch travelling smoothly in third from Asmiel. Jan Vermeer also travelling smoothly, just needs to push out underneath Alzir. So At First Sight is giving a bold sight. Is still about 6 lengths clear. Workforce has moved through to head the chase. Jan Vermeer is back in third but out in the clear. Workforce trying to run down At First Sight. Jan Vermeer has 3 lengths to find on Workforce in third. Then Alzir behind these Midas Touch. Workforce has taken over from At First Sight and is clear in the derby. Jan Vermeer being pressed now by Rewilding for the minor honours, but surely they're all chasing the shadow of Workforce. About 5 lengths clear. He won his first classic yesterday with the Oaks. This one will complete the double for Ryan Moore. Workforce won the Investec Derby for Sir Michael Stout, back in second place. Well, very close indeed. A mighty run by At First Sight with Rewilding, coordinated cut.
Workforce, a very impressive performance, and interestingly enough, Ryan Moore picking up his first British Classic in the running of the Oaks the prior day, doing it the hard way, and here a little bit of an easier trip as Workforce scores handily. Not something that you see very often in races like this, but he does get the victory in big fashion over At First Sight. Kind of an interesting horse in himself. He was 100 to 1 in the betting. At First Sight was. He was the expected pacemaker. He was sent out as the pacemaker for the Aidan O'Brien team that was led by the field's favorite Jan Vermeer, who really didn't come up with very much, settling for 4th. In the meantime, Workforce had a perfect trip. Switched to the inside at about the 3 furlong marker and was able to draw clear very handily at about 6 to 1 as Sir Michael Stout scores his 5th win in this classic, and Ryan Moore picks up his own Oaks Derby double. Workforce scores over At First Sight with Rewilding back in third as the 9 to 2 second choice in the betting. The winner off a second place finish in the Dante at York was making only his 3rd career start. He had run a solid second to Cape Blanco, who had in the meantime come back and disappointed rather dramatically. But this horse obviously appears to be going on to bigger and better things. Workforce is a 3-year-old son of King's Best from Soviet Moon by Sadler's Wells. He hails from the family of champion Brian Boru and, of course, 3-year-old filly champion in the United States, Flute. He was bred in Great Britain by Juddmonte and is owned by Prince Khaled Abdullah, the owner of Juddmonte Farm. They run in Europe in his name. He covers the 1.5 miles under Ryan Moore for trainer Sir Michael Stout in a new course record of 231.33. We will head to France next, and also on that same weekend that we run the Belmont Stakes, on Sunday afternoon they run the Prix du Jockey Club, also known as the French Derby. We will head now to Chantilly Racecourse and the running of the Prix du Jockey Club.
Okay, jockeys ready now. I think they're all in. Stand by. 2,100 metres and away they go for the Prix Jockey Club, Group 1. So, looking across now, and the first, Lope de Vega running very prominently. Then there's Viva Libre is right up there, trying to get to the front. Lope de Vega, Viva Libre, the runners. Then comes Planteur in third. Pamperdu is fourth after these races towards the inside. Ice Blue racing fifth. Nicely placed Ice Blue, closely followed by Cape Blanco. And then after these races, Ivory Land. So we're looking down now with Viva Libre leading them away down towards the Royal Stables, the Ecurie, followed by Lope de Vega. Then after these, Pamperdu is third. Then after these, Planteur 4. Ice Blue with the pink cap 5. I think on the outside it's No Risk at All as they race down now towards the turn for home. And it's Viva Libre who shows in front of Lope de Vega. At the rear of the field at this early stage was still a lot to do. Chamel Dan, I think, is at the rear, and Green Rock, but it's still turning in now. The running being made by Viva Libre from Lope de Vega. They've slowed up the pace a bit. Pamperdu comes next as they turn in now, and it's Viva Libre with the advantage, and now gone into the front now Lope de Vega as Viva Libre drops out. Pamperdu comes next, looking wide, Tiptoe making a forward move, so too is Green Rock. I'm looking for Ice Blue on the rails with the white blaze and the pink cap, so Ice Blue, but it's Lope de Vega. 350 metres to run. Lope de Vega, the Poulain winner, is just ahead of Planteur. Then close behind these, Pamperdu and Ice Blue in 4, looking towards the outside. See who's making ground. They've got 150 metres to run. Lope de Vega is clear. Planteur is second. Then comes Pamperdu, Ice Blue in 4, finishing far. Bekhabad towards the outside. But Lope de Vega, my word, he's trotted up as easily as Workforce won the Derby yesterday.
Lope de Vega getting another win. A very nice effort by this guy who did stretch out very nicely in this spot. This is a horse that had won the 2000 Guineas, the French 2000 Guineas, and obviously going a mile that day, stretched out nicely. Nowadays you don't see a lot of horses going from Guineas to Derby in most nations, but this horse handled it very nicely with a 3-length victory over Planteur, with Pamperdu finishing back in the 3rd spot. The winner, Lope de Vega, not unlike his sire, who also won the Guineas and the Derby, is the son of Chamerdal from Lady Vittori by Vittori, a chestnut 3-year-old son of that very nice young Giant's Causeway stallion. He's owned and bred. He was bred in Ireland by his owner, the Gestut Amerland, and is trained by André Fabre. Ridden to victory by young French rider Maxime Guyon, who we're going to see a little bit later on in the program as well, as he is going to invade England at the Royal Ascot meeting as well. Lope de Vega covers the mile and 5/16 at Chantilly course in 2:07.10. We will pause for a brief message. When we return, we'll be heading to Great Britain to a very busy week at Royal Ascot. Please stay with us. Welcome back to International Horses and Courses. I'm Jane Wood. We're going to continue now with a busy week at Royal Ascot. Of course, this is one of the high points of the British racing season, and things kicked off last Tuesday with the Queen Anne Stakes $300,000 Group 1 for older horses going the straightaway mile. Let's head to Royal Ascot and the Queen Anne.
Last one going in over the straight mile. Stand by.
and they're racing. Away they jump. Rip Van Winkle jumped out pretty prominently with Calming Influence in the lighter blue jacket away to the right. Away to the left, Cat Junior, somewhat isolated in the early stages and races keenly. Rip Van Winkle and Calming Influence are tracked by Goldikova in the blue with the white sleeves and the white cap, and in the green jacket Dalgar, followed next by Ukbar in a striped cap and Zakinto. Paco Boy getting plenty of cover in the maroon towards the stand side from Dream Eater and Pipe Dreamer at the tail of the field. Relatively well spread out, and it's Calming Influence by a length to Rip Van Winkle, ridden very prominently by Murta. Goldikova is just tracking these. Towards the outside is Cat Junior, then Zakinto and Dalgar, and Ukbar towards the outside travels kindly. Back in the field is Dream Eater, then from Paco Boy and Pipe Dreamer at the tail of the field. They race towards the last 3 furlongs in the Queen Anne Stakes, the Royal Ascot opener, and Calming Influence now. Rip Van Winkle is looming up. Goldikova in behind, seemingly waiting to pounce. Then Cat Junior, followed by Zakinto, Dalgar, Ukbar, Paco Boy with still a lot of cover and no way through. Now he says go on Goldikova. Goldikova committed quite early by Pellier, kicks 2 lengths clear of Rip Van Winkle. Zakinto, Paco Boy is coming through from the back from Dalgar and Dream Eater. Less than a furlong to go. Goldikova by 2 lengths. Paco Boy is charging at the French mare. Goldikova all out. Paco Boy is flying home. They're going to hit the line. Goldikova won the Queen Anne from Paco Boy, but there wasn't very much in it. Dream Eater 3rd, Zakinto 4, and then Dalgar and Rip Van Winkle.
Goldikova holding off a late charge from Paco Boy in a very exciting finish to start out the meeting. And this literally was the first race of the meeting. It was a tremendous finish as Goldikova, tracking the leaders early, took command, had about a 3-length clear margin. Didn't look like anybody was going to get near to her, but Paco Boy, who had been held up in the early going, rallied very strongly under Richard Hughes and just missed, getting up to within a neck or so of the champion mare. It was well back to Dream Eater at 50-1 in 3rd. The winner of Goldikova, a 5-year-old bay mare, a daughter of Anaba from Born Gold by Blushing Groom, of course the winner of the last 2 renewals of the Breeders' Cup Mile, and she is in fact being pointed now for yet another run at that race. She is anticipated to make her next start at the beginning of August at Deauville in the Prix de Rothschild. So hopefully maybe we'll be able to get that race and possibly with an English translation, because she is such a fabulous mare. It's so exciting to watch her run, and hear a perfectly timed ride by the great Olivier Pellier to pick up the victory. With Olivier Pellier in the irons, riding for the Wertheimer brothers, Alain and Gerard Wertheimer, who bred this horse and continue to own her, trained by Freddie Head under a masterful ride by Olivier Pellier. Goldikova returns to Great Britain victorious, covering the about distance of 1 mile and 137.74. We'll continue with racing action on Tuesday from Royal Ascot now. Older sprinters in the King's Stand Stakes.
And that will just leave us with Borderless Scott for the King's Stand Stakes, one of the British legs of the Global Sprint Challenge. 5 furlongs. They are all in. And they're off. Anne Racing, Equiano just dipped on leaving the stalls. Marcab is well away, and also well away on the far side is Borderless Scott. Gold Trail's heading over towards the near side, and most of them appear to be following suit, with Equiano and Bold Mover front rank. Kingsgate Native is in midfield. Mr. Manannan's on the extreme left at this stage with Marcab. Borderless Scott also with Total Gallery. Niconi well back in the field at this stage with Blue Jack as Equiano leads the pushed along Bold Mover towards halfway. Gold Trail's ridden along, Marcab out in the centre, Kingsgate Native are more proper. Niconi switching towards the near side as they race with a furlong and a half to go. Equiano, Bold Mover in 2nd place, then Marcab, Kingsgate Native towards the centre. Niconi is beginning to stay on, but it's Equiano, the winner a couple of years ago, who still leads the King's Stand from Marcab. Then Bold Mover running a mighty race behind these. Borderless Scott, it's Equiano ridden out. He's going to repeat the success of 2 years ago. Equiano beat Marcab, Borderless Scott, Niconi was 4th, massive run, Bold Mover in 5th, and then Kingsgate Native.
Equiano won this race two years ago in 2008. Had a little bit of an off season last year, but is now returning to his very best form. A very impressive performance here back in Group 1 company after having won the Listerd Ambernant last time out at Newmarket back in April. He scores by a length and a half over Mark Hobb, with Border Lescott back in the third spot at 16-1. Equiano is a son of acclamation from Entente Cordiale by Ella Monamou. He was bred in France by the Écurie Skymark Farm and continues to run through a very nice season this year at the age of 5 for trainer Barry Hills. Michael Hills in the iron. Equiano covers the about distance of 5 furlongs and 59 seconds flat. Next up, 3-year-olds in the very important Group 1 St. James Palace Stakes.
And Camford Cliffs makes up the line for the St. James's Palace Stakes. All set to go, and they're away. Slightly ragged start, and Encompassing rather missed the kick, the supposed pacemaker, and out wide Dick Turpin with Steinbeck towards the inside now going on. Encompassing recovering a bit up the inside. Beethoven in the blue cap is probably just second the inside of Dick Turpin, then Encompassing. Noble's Promise in the dark blue is 5th, followed by McPhee in the noseband. Towards the rear, Sayuni with Camford Cliffs and Hearts of Fire at the back of the field. So Steinbeck and Johnny Murta obliged to make his own running here. Dick Turpin is very handy, but rather deep on the course. In third is Beethoven, followed by Encompassing the rail. A length and a half then to Kieran Fallon and Noble's Promise. 2 more lengths to McPhee. Camford Cliffs is held onto up the inside by Richard Hughes in the orange jacket. Sayuni is second last, and Hearts of Fire at the tail of the field to be about 8 to 10 lengths back. They're into the bend then. Steinbeck from Dick Turpin. There'd only be a neck between the pair, followed up the inside by Encompassing, then Beethoven, Noble's Promise, Camford Cliffs behind them from McPhee in the noseband, and then Sayuni and Hearts of Fire homeward bound. 2 furlongs left to cover. Steinbeck and Dick Turpin still eyeballing each other. Here's Beethoven on the outside. Noble's Promise is pulled out. Camford Cliffs still cruising along in behind. McPhee out wide, wider still Sayuni. Dick Turpin now masters Steinbeck, chased by stable companion Camford Cliffs, and Hearts of Fire is dashing through them from the rear as well as they race well inside the last, and Camford Cliffs, a beautiful turn of foot, takes him into the lead past Dick Turpin. Camford Cliffs wins. Dick Turpin second, Hearts of Fire, Sayuni, Noble's Promise, and then back behind them to Beethoven, McPhee.
Camford Cliffs picking up the victory in a race that has really become a very important race on the year, as it has become really important to win races like this and the Guineas, because the mile seems to be a stallion maker's distance, and Camford Cliffs picks up the victory, turning the tables on Dick Turpin, his stablemate in the Richard Hannon barn, who had in fact beaten him twice. Now Camford Cliffs in the meantime had won the Irish Guineas in very impressive fashion in his most recent start, and certainly appeared to be an improving 3-year-old. He turns the tables on his yard mate with Hearts of Fire back in the third spot. A rather strangely run race in a number of respects, in that one of the favorites from the Aidan O'Brien barn ended up heading out and getting engaged in the early lead. It just didn't make a lot of sense when they did have a pacemaker in there for him, but things went a little bit awry in this race for the Aidan O'Brien and Coolmore operation. But trust me, as usual, they will bounce back from this rather disappointing showing. In fact, we'll see them a little bit later, as they're going to strike the line first in a couple of races here at Royal Ascot as we get into the meeting. In the meantime, Camford Cliffs, a 3-year-old son of Tagula from Mrs. Marsh by Marju, owned by the Heifer Syndicate, Linda Instance and Susan Roy. Very solid performance, looking for moves forward later on in the season to take on some of his elders within the 1 mile distance for trainer Richard Hannon. Richard Hughes in the irons, as Camford Cliffs covers the about distance of 1 mile and 139.55. Next up, we will round out the Tuesday card with 2-year-olds in the Coventry Stakes, going 6 furlongs.
And they're off and racing. Out very well was Zoffany in the centre, and also Amwell Pino. One that's slow away is Mullins Way and already being rousted along. But Roe is the horse that's moved through to lead from Elzam and Zoffany. Samuel Morse in this right-hand group as well early on, with Amwell Pino towards the centre. Far side, Planet Wave shows up there from Chiswick Bay in the noseband, Galtymore Lad and Move in Time. Strong Suits right in the centre of the field at the moment in red and green. Space at a little bit of a premium in the middle of that group. Towards the rear is Sheer Courage, and having been left early, Mullins Way is now making rapid progress to come up and shortly to dispute the lead. So Roe leads from Planet Waves, Elzam the striped cap, Mullins Way towards the left, Move in Time with Galtymore Lad, Samuel Morse and Zoffany both being punched along, trying to make some ground. Strong Suit's got nowhere to go at the moment. Now it begins to open up, but Elzam leads with a furlong and a half to go with Roe. They've got a couple clear from Mullins Way. Strong Suit is now scything through the field in the red and green colours and moves through to third, forced to change course several times. Elzam's got first run and has gone 2 lengths clear. Strong Suit has had a lot of trouble in running. He's trying to close on the leader. Elzam Strong Suit has got to win half a length. Elzam Strong Suit hit the line. Oh, close. Elzam on the far side of Strong Suit, who if he's beaten is an unlucky loser.
Strong Suit, and what I thought was a very exciting finish. Really did not look like Elzam was going to be caught, but Strong Suit just came busting out of the field, and a second particularly strong performance for a Richard Hannon trainee over the Royal Ascot course. He picks up the nose victory over Elzam, with Roai back in the third spot for Saeed bin Suror in the Godolphin operation. This race is turning into a very promising race. A lot of horses are coming out of the Coventry doing very well. Last year's winner was, of course, Canford Cliffs, and Strong Suit has marked himself a very likely early favorite for next year's running of the Guineas with this performance. Strong Suit is a son of Rahi from Helwa by Silver Hawk. He was actually bred in Arkansas, interestingly enough, now over, of course, in Europe. A very interesting family, as Dam Helwa has not been much of a producer, nor was her dam, which is probably why she ended up in Arkansas. But this is the family of Personal Ensign, the third dam, a full sister to that champion mare and great producer as well. So very strong female family to fall back on does Strong Suit have. And I wouldn't be terribly surprised to see this youngster stretch out very nicely to the mile as he gets into his 3-year-old season next year for trainer Richard Hannon. Richard Hughes in the irons, the 6 furlongs, the about distance is 6 furlongs covered in 114.29. We'll pause for a brief break, and when we return, I'm sorry, we won't pause. We'll continue on. We've got some more great racing. We'll bring that to you first before we take yet another break. We'll go into Wednesday's running. They've got 4 stakes on the program at Royal Ascot on Wednesday. A terrific day, starting out with 3-year-olds going 7 furlongs in the Jersey Stakes.
Rodrigo de Torres into that stall, number 8. They're all in. And they're off and racing for the Jersey Stakes. Slightly slow into stride, was Free for a Day. Out well is Rainfall over on the far side in company with Red Jazz. And right up the middle of the racecourse, Shakespearean also adopts a handy position as they race through the first furlong and a half or so. Racing quite keenly is Rodrigo de Torres. The pace doesn't appear that solid. Moncado towards the far side. Coral the Greys in midfield in company with Free Judgment. And behind this is Mizan, who's making a little bit of progress, was just a little bit short of room there. Lucky General still towards the back in company with Rock Jock, Free for a Day. Also towards the rear of the field, Field of Dream being pushed along, and also at the rear of the field towards the outside and niggled along a Field of Dream with Moncado. So out in front it is Red Jazz, who's got Shakespearean hard at work. Over on the far side, Rainfall. Free Judgment comes next with Mizan as they make their way, still with over 2 furlongs to travel. Red Jazz, the pale blue and red, continuing to lead from Rainfall. Shakespearean in the blue and white of Mizan. At a big price, Free for a Day is staying on quite well. Rodrigo de Torres and Field of Dream, who was outpaced early, is also trying to stay on. Still Hammer and Tongs up front. Rainfall in the green, Red Jazz in the light blue and red behind these. Free for a Day and Rock Jock inside the final furlong. It's Rainfall over on the far side for Ryan Moore, who leads by half a length and driven out towards the line. Rainfall with Red Jazz trying hard to rally. Rainfall at the end is all out, but I think held on for the Jersey from Red Jazz in second, then Rock Jock, Free for a Day, Field of Dream, then Free Judgment and Shakespearean.
It had been a while since a filly had won this race, but Rainfall scores the victory in nice fashion by a game head over Red Jazz, putting on quite a show, and there were a number of very close finishes during the Royal Ascot meeting, this being one of them with Rock Jock back in the third spot. Rainfall, a lightly raced filly, a daughter of Oasis Dream from Malomo by Barathea, coming in here for the Mark Johnston operation with Ryan Moore in the irons, picking up the about 7 furlong distance in 124.94. We'll continue with stakes racing action on Wednesday at Royal Ascot with the Prince of Wales Stakes, $1.2 million on offer for the older horses. Group 1 company at 10 furlongs.
Prince of Wales' Stakes, Group 1 contest over 10 furlongs. The 12 runners are all loaded away, and they're off and racing. And from the stalls, Pressvis was just a little bit slow, sometimes by design, but he's just being needled along to gather speed as they race through the first furlong. Debussy and the black cap of Taziz are those that are prominent, with Vina Volza caught a little wide, both Cavalryman and also Ali Bar, with Mawathiq Keen just behind the leaders. Byword's got into a nice spot just behind the speed. The space is a little bit of a premium in midfield, with Stimulation twice over on the outside of Glass Harmonium as they now beginning this turn at the far end of the racecourse, heading down towards Swinley Bottom. Mawathiq's found himself now towards the tail of the field with Shalanaya and Pressvis, who's now making a little bit of ground up the inside rail as Taziz turns at the far end and begins this steady climb. Taziz in the black cap by a length or so from the German raider Vina Volza in second place. In third is Debussy with the flashy white-faced chestnut Byword racing in fourth, passing the 6. Stimulation is in fifth, ahead of Cavalryman in the all-blue jacket, ahead of Glass Harmonium, just ahead of Ali Bar and Twice Over. Pressvis, Shalanaya towards the rear of the field with Mawathiq are still pretty tightly grouped. They make their way steadily uphill. Taziz leading from Vina Volza in second place. Debussy is third. Byword positioned in fourth has had a nice trip to this point with Stimulation in fifth and Cavalryman in sixth. Then Glass Harmonium, Twice Over's pink cap on the inside of Ali Bar's white cap. Pressvis imprisoned against the fence at this stage with Mawathiq, and still towards the tail of the field is Shalanaya. Turning in, Taziz begins to up the ante, passing the 3, leads by a length or so from Vina Volza. Byword's white face poised to challenge behind the leaders with Debussy. Cavalryman hard at work. Glass Harmonium short of room. Twice Over and Mawathiq towards the centre. Pressvis is trying to smuggle through. Byword asked to go after Taziz, just hanging fire, head to one side slightly. Debussy amongst horses. Vina Volza, Twice Over stays on. Byword getting organised, has moved through to head Taziz. Vina Volza then Twice Over. The Khalid Abdullah pair out in front. Byword, Twice Over's got a length and a half to find, but it's Byword a length clear. Byword will win the Prince of Wales' Stakes for France. Maxime Guillon and Andre Fabre. A 1-2 for Khalid Abdullah. Twice Over second across the line.
Byword getting the victory here. A very impressive showing. Another very exciting finish by some very good horses as Byword gets the victory over Twice Over, who is an absolute specialist at the distance of 1.25 miles. Taziz rounds out the top 3. The winner, Byword, had been second to Goldikova last time out. Here he gets the opportunity to stretch out to a better distance for him. Picks up the victory for trainer Andre Fabre, who won this race with Manduro a couple of races back. And that was none other than Maxime Guillon in the irons, in from France to pick up a major Group 1 race in his first venture into English racing. Twice Over from the same ownership operation. Those are the familiar Juddmonte colors running first and second. Andre Fabre based in France with Byword, the British-based Henry Cecil settling for the runner-up spot. And here, owned and bred by Prince Khalid Abdullah's Juddmonte farm. The winner, Byword, is a chestnut 4-year-old son of Painter Celebre from Binch by Woodman, making him a half to American Grade 1 winner Proviso. This is one of those somewhat later developing types that earlier on in his career, they weren't quite sure that they were going to have a major runner with him, but obviously given the time he needs now at the age of 4, has developed into a solid Group 1 performer at the what they consider the middle distance of 10 furlongs. Byword covers the 1.25 miles on the turf in 205.35. We'll continue now with stakes racing action on Wednesday with the Queen Mary Stakes for 2-year-olds going 5 furlongs.
Going forward, Meow to complete the line for the Queen Mary. And they're off and racing, got away to a pretty good line. Meow is very fast away over on the far side, heading towards that far rail with Serena's Pride, Ladies Are Forever and Maccaseed. Also showing a bright pace is Dress Up down the centre of the racecourse. The Sydney Arms is amongst those that show prominently with Marlinka. Those that are rather isolated towards the near side, Penny's Pearl is one of them. Moonlit Garden in the noseband is coming more towards the stand side, so they will be fanned right across the course. Over on the far side, it is Meow who shows the way with Serena's Pride. Maccaseed tracks Meow over on that far rail with Dress Up, Serena's Pride just behind them. Then nudged along is Purple Glow. Maccaseed is just looking for a way out. Moonlit Gardens making a bold fist of it down the near side, is right up with the pace, doing clearly best of those on this side of the racecourse. It's Meow, Maccaseed on the far side with Ladies Are Forever. Moonlit Diamond is now beginning to drop away on the near side as Maccaseed, who got a toe in off Meow, begins to extend, and it's Maccaseed who moves to the front. Meow in second, Ladies Are Forever in third, and at the line it is Maccaseed who won the Queen Mary. In second, Meow, then Ladies Are Forever. They were a long way clear of Serena's Pride, who came home fourth.
Maccaseed getting the win. A nice effort by this 2-year-old daughter of Green Desert, who's now 2 for 2, going as the 9-4 favorite for trainer John Gosden. She scores by a neck over Meow, with Ladies Are Forever running forwardly throughout and holding on well to finish third. The winner, Maccaseed, a daughter of Green Desert from Eshada by Stormcat, is owned by Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum and trained by John Gosden, ridden to victory by Richard Hills. Maccaseed covers the about distance of 5 furlongs in 59.17. Now that we've wrapped up the Wednesday stakes racing action from Royal Ascot, we will take a brief break. When we return, we will be wrapping things up with a very busy final 3 days of racing from Royal Ascot. Please stay with us. Welcome back to International HNC. We will continue now with last Thursday's stakes racing action from Royal Ascot. 2-year-olds in action going 5 furlongs in the Group 2 Norfolk Stakes.
Going to be the last in. They're all set for the Norfolk Stakes, and away they go. And Stoner Folker, a little slow out of the stalls, ridden with a bit more restraint today, perhaps, as they race through the early stages. Reckless Reward with the white face showing up well. Black Moth coming all alone towards the stand side is XL Bolt, well away, detached from the others. Meanwhile, over on the far side, Group Dubawi Gold and Black Moth, a Handy Zebedee in the red jacket on the far side, Alazif in the blue, and then Arctic Feeding, Approve, and Stoner Folker now making good progress as they race down towards the final 2.5 furlongs. Further back, Little Lion Man over on the far side, and XL Bolt is still alone on the stands rail, but doing pretty well at this stage. 1.5 furlongs left to go. Stoner Folker coming through over on the far side from Zebedee, then Approve staying on. Reckless Reward, XL Bolt perhaps beginning to struggle now. Stoner Folker, Zebedee, Approve is finishing with a rare old flourish, and then Reckless Reward as they make their way up towards the line, and it's Approve in front. Approve from Reckless Reward. XL Bolt doing pretty well on the stand side. Might have got third. Stoner Folker, Zebedee close up.
Approve gets the win. A nice effort by this horse, who had run a good fourth in his debut on Derby Day at Epsom. A nice performance by him that day to finish a close-up, late-moving fourth. And off of that effort, they decided they would spot him in this Group 2 event, and it was well worth it as he scores at 16-1 to pick up the victory over Reckless Reward, with Excel Bolt back in third. The winner, Approve, is a 2-year-old son of Oasis Dream from Wyola by Sadler's Wells. He was bred in Ireland by Abbeville and Meadow Court Partners, owned by Highclere Racing Partnership, trained by William Haggis, and ridden to victory by Eddie Ahern. Approve covers the about distance of 5 furlongs in 1 minute, .14. Next up, it's 3-year-old fillies in the Group 1 mile-and-a-quarter Ribblesdale Stakes.
And Acquainted leads the turn for home, with Middle Club moving up threateningly again on the outside. Then Principal Roll, Hibayeb moving out to get a crack at them down the outside. Staying towards the inner is Fatanar. Principal Roll's Pink Cap, then Gertrude Bell and Gallic Star. Middle Club has taken over from Acquainted. Then towards the outside, Hibayeb being gathered up. Principal Roll coming there with the Pink Cap. Fatanar changes course, then Gallic Star. All changed now as the Pink Cap of Principal Roll is pressed by Hibayeb in the blue colours for Frankie Dettori. Then Middle Club, Elder from a long way back is staying on, but Hibayeb has gone for home and quickly seals the Ribblesdale. Elder moving through into second from a long way back, but Hibayeb is going to be an impressive winner, scooting clear to win by 3 lengths from Frankie Dettori and Saeed bin Sarur. Elder into second, Gallic Star was third, Principal Roll, Middle Club and Fatanar.
Hibayeb gets the win and a nice performance under Franco Dettori. It's always exciting when Frankie wins a race, especially at Royal Ascot. He puts on the big show in the winner's circle, but here put on a pretty nice show on the racetrack with the joint favorite over El Dalil with Gallic Star back in the third spot. Hibayeb, a nice filly who had run a good third behind Serafina, who is a multiple classic winner in France in her most recent start. She won the Fillies Mile here at Ascot last fall, so obviously takes very nicely to this course. She is a 3-year-old daughter of Singspiel from Lady Zonda by Lion Cavern. She was bred in Great Britain by Rabat Bloodstock and is owned by Sheikh Hamdan by Godolphin, owned by Godolphin Stable, trained by Saeed bin Sarur and ridden to victory by none other than Frankie Dettori. It looks like we may see her back on relatively short rest in the Darley Irish Oaks in mid-July. Hibayeb covers the about distance of 1.5 miles in 2:31.18. Next up, one of the old favorites on the Royal Ascot meeting. Of course, the last few years it's been dominated by none other than Yates, who has now been retired. Of course, I speak of the Group 1 Ascot Gold Cup. 2.5 miles, a very important race for the older horses at the extended route distances. We will join the Ascot Gold Cup in progress.
As they now race towards the bottom part of the racecourse, the lowest part of Ascot Racecourse. Swinley Bottom and Akmal still by a couple of lengths, and now it's uphill all the way. Akmal from Age of Aquarius, Rite of Passage is third. Ask on the inside of Darley Sun, followed by Manifest, just nudged along. Purple Moon likewise. Casbar Bliss getting a bit closer. Kitewood is pushed along up the inside. It looks as though Akmal is beginning to turn the screw here. Age of Aquarius ranges up alongside. Hard at work for a few strides. Manifest, who's made ground well now on the outside. Very wide is Casbar Bliss, and then behind them Ask and Rite of Passage, and Kitewood still off the bridle from Purple Moon, and then Darley Sun. Bannaby's improving up the inside as now they race towards the final punishing half mile, and Age of Aquarius now strikes on. Akmal drops back quickly and was hampered. It's Age of Aquarius by 2 or 3 lengths, going very easily in the hands of Johnny Murtagh. Rite of Passage in hot pursuit in second. Ask is third. Bannaby for Spain moving well round the inside. Then Purple Moon. Manifest at 1 pace from Kitewood and Casbar Bliss. Homeward bound Age of Aquarius went very early. He's looking a little bit lonely in front, and Rite of Passage is cutting the leader back. On the outside, Purple Moon stays on well. Then Bannaby and Ask as they race towards the final furlong. Age of Aquarius with Rite of Passage, the big challenge on the outside. Purple Moon is 2 lengths down in third, followed followed by Bannerby. Rite of Passage gets to Age of Aquarius, and All Irish finish, and it's Rite of Passage, Age of Aquarius on the far side, neck and neck as they race up towards the line. Rite of Passage and Pat Smullen lands the Gold Cup, beats Age of Aquarius. They're clear of Purple Moon, and a long gap then to Bannerby, a good run in fourth. Ask was fifth.
Rite of Passage and Age of Aquarius really putting on a tremendous show through the stretch, and it is always exciting when they go 1.5 miles and you still end up with, or 2.5 miles, and you end up with a couple of horses just duking it out well in front of the remainder of the field. But it was Rite of Passage getting the victory. This is a horse who last out was third in a novice hurdle at Cheltenham, but has run some very good races against nice horses at extended distances throughout Great Britain throughout the earlier portion of his career. Two older horses, a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, duking it out to score over the 7-year-old Purple Moon, who continues to put forth very good performances for the Luca Cumani yard. The winner, Rite of Passage, is a son of Giant's Causeway, a 6-year-old son of that tremendous young stallion from Dolly is Chrissy by Chris S. A lot of family here. His third dam, of course, the great mare Dahlia, who herself turned out to be a multiple Group and Grade 1 mare. Rite of Passage was bred in Great Britain by the Newcell stud, trained by Dermot Weld, who picked up his first victory in the Gold Cup with this effort. Pat Smullen in the irons, and a new course record time of 4:16.92. We'll head right back into 2-year-old competition. Next up, the Group 3 Albany Stakes at 6 furlongs.
The Albany Stakes, wide across the course. They're all set. And they're off and racing. Memory missed the start slightly and also just ridden along his Turn the Tide through the early stages. They are going to split into two groups. The Godolphin pair, Al Sharood and Idiom, heading over. Coming this side is 'Tis My Time, who is prominent in company with Lady Anne as they make their way through the first couple of furlongs. Over on the far side, Grandma's Dream heads a group of 5 or 6, which include Hooray, Honeymead, Juliet Capulet, and also Twist of Silver. They're coming together with Magic Stella, Idiom, the white cap, just tracking Al Sharood. Also over there is Queen of Spain in company with Crying Lightning, still being led by 'Tis My Time and Lady Anne on the stand side in company with Hortensia. Rahapna Farragher's making some ground on the outside of the near side group, with Margot Did also improving. Memory amongst horses as well. They've got 2 furlongs to travel. A near side group, 'Tis My Time, Rahapna Farragher and Margot Did in company with Lady Anne, and then Bay of Fires. Meanwhile, over on the far side, Grandma's Dream and Hooray are amongst those, with Honeymead, who's prominent just behind these and trying to stay on his Emma's Gift inside the final furlong. And towards the near side, it's Margot Did who's moved through the lead. Emma's Gift on the far side. Memory coming strongly near side. Near side have it. It's Memory and Margot Gift at the line. Memory, another winner for Richard Hughes, and Richard Hannon has won the Albany. From Margot Did in second, tight for third, 'Tis My Time, Rahapna Farragher.
Memory scoring the win in this Group 3 event for fillies in nice fashion. She had won her debut at Goodwood for Highclere, and they decided to pop her into this spot and see how things went. As you can see, a very full field of fillies going postward, and she scores the victory here for Richard Hannon over Margot Did. It was short back to 'Tis My Time, who raced fairly prominently throughout the early going. This was one of the American invaders, Ken McPeak, sending over a group, and this horse, I think, probably the best finish of the group that was sent over, but a nice effort, I thought, running very well as part of the group running on the stand side. The winner, however, Memory, looks like one to follow. She is, in fact, likely for the Cherry Hinton Stakes coming up in about a month or so. A daughter of Danehill Dancer from Nausicaa by Diocese. She was bred by Swordlestown Stud in Ireland, is owned by the Highclere Racing Partnership, trained by Richard Hannon, ridden to victory by Richard Hughes. Memory covers the about distance of 6 furlongs in 1:13.70. We'll continue with racing action now from Royal Ascot on Friday. The King Edward VII Stakes, once again, this is for 3-year-olds. It's at 1.5 miles. This is one of those races that's kind of decided, it kind of had that role of looking to determine some of the second season 3-year-olds in Europe. We've got races here like the Dwyer and the Haskell and the like, and they have the King Edward VII Stakes at 1.5 miles. Will join the King Edward in progress.
They're approaching the 6 furlong marker, and it was the Derby where At First Sight was set alight with about 4 or 5 furlongs left to run. Johnny Murtagh holding him together at the moment in front. Green Moon on the outside. Bullet Train is close up, breathing down their necks. Monterosso towards the outside. Frankie Dettori steals a half glance behind. Arctic Cosmos, Togiak, and then towards the rear Buzzword and Wazit. 2 by 2 as they race towards the final turn. At First Sight still leads the way, shadowed in second by Green Moon. Bullet Train's had a charm run round the inside, followed by Monterosso. Then another length and a half to Arctic Cosmos, Togiak, Buzzword and Wasit now drawing closer. There'll be about 7 lengths first to last as they race inside the final 3 furlongs. And now Murtagh presses a few buttons on At First Sight, but the response not immediate. Green Moon, Monterosso delivering a run down the outside. Bullet Train will go for the rail. Then Arctic Cosmos and Buzzword. Monterosso shows the best turn of foot, shifts right-handed to the fence. Arctic Cosmos now chasing after Monterosso, followed by At First Sight. Green Moon, Buzzword is staying on inside the final furlong. Frankie Dettori leads the way on Monterosso, and this big striding colt is going to see them off in style. Monterosso wins the King Edward VII from his second, Arctic Cosmos. Buzzword might have snatched third from At First Sight. That's tight.
Monterosso, a nice effort by this kind of late developing progressive 3-year-old. Early in his year, they really didn't think that they were going to have all that much, but they did decide to spot him here, and he ends up picking up the victory as the 7-2 second choice in the wagering over Arctic Cosmos, with Buzzword back in the 3rd spot. A nice tracking trip by this guy under Frankie Dettori for Mark Johnston, and now he looks to be a candidate for the June 27th Irish Derby at the Curragh. Monterosso is the son of Dubawi from Porto Rocca by Barathea. He was bred in Great Britain by Darley and is owned by Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum. Ridden to victory by Frankie Dettori for Mark Johnston, Monterosso covers the about distance of 1.5 miles in 2:30.06. Next up, we'll head back into filly competition. 3-year-old fillies going the about distance of 1 mile in the Group 1 Coronation.
All of the horses are installed. And they're off and racing. Tabassum jumped out to the left on exiting the stalls and is quite keen early on. Chacha Maidi was another one who was a little slow, and Sent from Heaven is under restraint as Gila Negrena it is who leads from Puff through the early stages. Tabassum towards the outside, and amongst the leaders as well is Electric Feel, who's racing keenly. Back in the field, Sent from Heaven is another one who hasn't really settled. It appears a slightly muddling pace with several fighting for their heads. Lily Langtry ahead of the red cap of Lady of the Desert. Anna Salai's 4 back on the fence in the noseband at this stage. Jacqueline Quest in midfield on the inside of the white cap of Music Show. Then towards the rear of the field, evading Tom Pett with Anna Salai, and the last 2 are Sent from Heaven, and Famous is last of all. So Gila Negrena cutting out the running by half a length or so from Tabassum in 2nd place as they're just preparing to turn into the straight. Puff is in 3rd with Chacha Maidi, ridden along Electric Feel with Jacqueline Quest improving with Lily Langtry, along as well with Anna Salai, and that trio are all travelling well. Evading Tom Pett's being ridden along, but on straightening, Gila Negrena tries to find a length or so. Tabassum in 2nd, Lily Langtry moves out with Chacha Maidi. Puff still there towards the inside. Jacqueline Quest right down the outside. Anna Salai evading Tom Pett. Still 2 furlongs to go. Still Gila Negrena leads from Lily Langtry. Jacqueline Quest down the outside, moves through into 3rd. Lady of the Desert and Anna Salai inside the final furlong. Gila Negrena being pursued all of the time by Lily Langtry, who draws alongside. These 2 have moved 3 clear from Jacqueline Quest, and it's Lily Langtry who strikes the front in the Coronation from Gila Negrena, and ridden out towards the line. Coolmore off the mark at the win line in the Coronation. Lily Langtry won from Gila Negrena. Back in 3rd place then was Music Show from Jacqueline Quest, evading Tom Pett.
Nice to see Lily Langtry back in the winner's circle. She had been a very prominent 2-year-old filly last year for the Aidan O'Brien operation, came to the United States to compete in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. Unfortunately, she did suffer an injury to a knee during the running of that event and went to the sidelines, came back She ran 5th in her return race. Not a bad performance at all, a fairly close-up 5th, setting her up for an improved performance here in the Group 1 Coronation as she scores over Gila Negrena with Jacqueline Quest, who had been the rather lucky recipient, as it were, of a couple of classics earlier on in the year, completing the order of the top 3. The winner, Lily Langtry, a 3-year-old daughter of Danehill Dancer from Hoity Toity by Darshan, was bred in Ireland by K.B. Lynch, owned by Michael Tabor, Derek Smith, and Susan Magner for the Coolmore, carrying the Coolmore banner for Aidan O'Brien, Johnny Murtaugh in the irons. Lily Langtry covers the about distance of 1 mile in 1:39.69. We'll wrap things up at Royal Ascot with a pair of stakes races from the Saturday card. Kind of an interesting meeting in that everything is kind of front-loaded into the first day or two, but we've still got some good racing action from Saturday, and we'll start things out with the Hardwick Stakes at 1.5 miles. This is Group 2 company for older horses, and we'll join the Hardwick in progress.
As they prepare to take the turn into the straight. Bathsheba it is from Crowded House, who moves into second. Southeaster pushed along. Harbinger beginning now to edge closer in the pale blue from Patara Bay. Wajir on the outside of Claremont. Jukebox Jury pushed along. Then Duncan towards the inside as they make the turn for home. It's Bathsheba who leads from in second, Crowded House. Harbinger coming there on the outside in the pale blue. Behind these Patara Bay and Wajir. Bathsheba is now being pressed by Harbinger. Ryan Moore takes Harbinger to the lead, goes a length clear from Bathsheba from the back into third place. Duncan stays on, Redwood as well, but Harbinger is clear in the Hardwick. In second place is Duncan, who's out after the leader, but Harbinger is 1 mile clear. Another good week for punters. Bookmakers staring at their doom as Harbinger is clear in the Hardwick. Another winner for Ryan Moore as he scores decisively. Harbinger won from Duncan, who was clear. Bathsheba was third.
Harbinger gets the victory here as the favorite. The solid effort by 3+ lengths over Duncan, with Bathsheba, a filly, completing the order of the top 3. The winner, Harbinger, now 3 for 3 this year, a couple of Group 3 victories, moves up to Group 2 level and continues to score. He is a 4-year-old son of Dancilli from Penang Pearl by Baring, bred in Great Britain and owned by Highclere. Trained by Sir Michael Stout and ridden to victory by Ryan Moore, Harbinger covers the about distance of 1.5 miles in 2:27.36. We'll wrap up the Royal Ascot meet with the Golden Jubilee. This is the second of the 2 Group 1 sprints. The first, of course, the 5-furlong King's Stand on the opening day. They round things out with a lot of the same horses coming back only 4 or 5 days later, going 6 furlongs in the Golden Jubilee, a Group 1 for international class sprinters. Let's return once more to Royal Ascot and the Golden Jubilee.
Joy and Fun, the last in, stand by. And they're racing in the Golden Jubilee. Star Spangled Banner broke out well with Saif towards the stand side. Joy and Fun showing speed with Kinsale King. They split into 2 groups. Prime Defender going quickly over on the far side from Lord Shankill. On the stand side, Star Spangled Banner from Saif, Kinsale King, Triple Aspect, Amico, Fritz, Marchand d'Or next to the fence. Further back then is Regal Parade with Showcasing and Happy Zero in the stand side group from Favashi and Sir Jerry at the back of the field, along with Society Rock and Balthazar's Gift. Meanwhile, over on the far side, Prime Defender leads the way over there from Lord Shankill, with trying to come through after these is Alberta for Australia, then Main Aim, Varinar in the green jacket, Fleeting Spirit on the far side chases the leaders, Total Gallery high standing, and then Serious Attitude as they race down towards the final furlong and a half in the Golden Jubilee. Star Spangled Banner on the stands rail from Kinsale King, Joy and Fun, Society Rock on the far side, Fleeting Spirit, the flying filly coming through from Prime Defender and Varinar, and then Serious Attitude well inside the last. Star Spangled Banner on the stand side, Fleeting Spirit far side, Star Spangled Banner clear, stand side had it, Society Rock and Kinsale King fighting it out for second and third.
Star Spangled Banner, I suppose you could say in some ways we're saving the best for last. This race was very, very exciting, and this is an interesting sprinter. He is clearly a world-class sprinter, having begun his career in Australia. He was sold to the Coolmore operation. They ran him once down there and then headed to Europe with him. His first start for Europe, he was fifth in Europe. He was fifth in the Duke of York. It wasn't a bad performance, but I think he probably needed the race. He needed a little bit more adjustment time, but this colt is very, very exciting. He scores the margin about 1 3/4 lengths over Society Rock, with American Kinsale King back in third. A very nice performance. This is a horse that had been a very impressive and progressive sprinter in the United States. Won in Dubai last time out. They headed to Europe with him, and in fact, they're going to keep him in Europe. And it looks like the top three might be reunited in the Group 1 July Cup at Newmarket on the 9th of July, one of the major international class sprints run during the European season. It sure would be nice to have all of those horses back in action only a few weeks hence. So we can only hope that they'll all stay together. Aidan O'Brien has indicated that Star Spangled Banner, in fact, is the quote-unquote fastest horse he has ever trained. This horse is very, very quick. Star Spangled Banner is a 4-year-old son of Choisir from Gold Anthem by Maid of Gold. Interestingly enough, Choisir also a winner of the Golden Jubilee after having won the King's Stand. So he managed to do the sweep in several years back. He is an Australian-bred Star Spangled Banner, a son of that European-based sprint stallion. He was bred in Australia by Emily Christina Limited. He is owned by the Coolmore operation. Partners including Magnier, Tabor, and Smith, trained by Aidan O'Brien, and ridden to victory by Johnny Murtagh, who basically said all he had to do was hang on tight, and tight he did. He ended up scoring very impressively, covering the about distance of 6 furlongs in 1:12.57. That'll wrap up a busy international edition of Horses and Courses. Thank you very much for joining us as we take a look at stakes racing action from around the globe. About once a month, or about every 6 weeks or so, we put together an edition of international Horses and Courses. We certainly hope that you do have enjoyed having the opportunity to see some of these very, very interesting races and follow some of the international horses using this program. Thanks again for joining us. We hope you'll be able to join us again next time on International Horses and Courses. Until then, I'm Jean Wood. Have a great day at the races.